People think law of attraction is some like woo woo. It's like, oh, just think about what you want and then it'll manifest through the will of God. The sky doesn't say to that cloud, oh fuck, you're ugly as fuck. Get the fuck out of my head. And then say to the other one, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Let me take you home. So I've been meditating on this thought that I had recently. You know how the saying goes, nothing is enough. I thought about it, and you can interpret that in completely two opposite ways. Nothing is enough can be interpreted in two different ways. Now, what I mean by that is typically when you hear that term, nothing is enough. Well, I guess it does depend where you are, what stage you are in your development, but one person hears it as nothing will ever be enough. And so life is grim, it's all a drag, you know. On the other hand, nothing is enough. Having nothing is enough because you don't need to rely on anything. You are self-fulfilled. And so you don't need anything external. You don't need to be dependent on anything. And so nothing is enough. And I think this connects to also this idea that you can have a good life without needing to torture yourself. I think we all make the mistake of thinking we need hard work and discipline and grind it out, you know, fucking, you know, because we're taught that, to have that belief growing up in order to be successful and happy and whatever whatchamacallit, you know, this idea that you have to work for it, that it takes effort, that you just grind it, you know, that it's sort of this unpleasant thing, and you have to go through all of this unpleasantness and all this self-torture in order to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. But you rarely ever hear about this idea about how the light hides in darkness, and it's hiding there all of the time. But we are so attached and so zoned in and tunnel visioned into our perceptions of problems and everything that's going wrong that we are unable to see this hidden reality behind the supposed reality that we think is absolutely real. But we forget darkness is potential light. And in every moment of darkness, there's the potential of light. And without that darkness, there would be no potential of light. And it's up to you to realize the potential of that light into its actuality. And we make this mistake of thinking that the point is to be found somewhere in the future, or that the point can be explained by something in the past. In the exact same way, though, we make the mistake of thinking that we find the light at the end of the tunnel. But we don't realize that the point has always been now, and every moment is the point. Because the reason for that is because we've been trained, you know, by education, by the culturescape, all that, to sort of be in our heads all of the damn time, you know? We're constantly thinking about things, but we never allow ourselves to experience things as they truly are. Instead, we think about them, and so we judge them, we condemn them, we praise them, you know, we label them. but we have never learned to sort of meditate on things without labeling them. And I think that's really, at the psychological level, that really is what is why so many aspects of people's lives are not what they desire, is because they're unconscious of it, unconscious of the way that they behave, that causes those things to manifest in their life. And so I've been talking about how you don't need to torture yourself in order to have a good life. But then it's like, okay, then like how if I don't work towards the life I want, then how do I get there? It's not so much that you don't work to get there, but the work isn't effortful, you know? And so the idea is that to become the person you want to be, you have to drop your identification with the person you are now. And so we have all of these beliefs that we believe makes us who we are, makes us I. And so we identify with these beliefs whenever they come up and think of them as absolutely real. It goes back to the same thing of developing this awareness to see our beliefs and see our thoughts and see our habits without labeling them, but just being able to meditate on them as, as a cloud in the sky, as cliche as you can put it in those like meditation terms, or a leaf floating by on a river, right? Our whole identity is an illusion because we think we are a specific set of leaves on a river, and so it's like we cling on to them, right? We see like multiple leaves on the river, and then we say, oh, this one's purple, this one's pink, this one's blue, and then we cling on to those three for dear life. While the river keeps flowing, we cling on to the leaves while we flow with it. But when you realize that you can actually choose what you cling on to or what you don't cling on to, and it's your choice how you want to live this life. But most people think they don't have that choice. And so the wrong way to go about changing ourselves, and this is the trap that most of us fall into when we get into self-improvement, when we want to better ourselves, is to try and become the ideal person through the efforts of being the person you are now. Like, do you see the problem there? Because you're still attached to everything that makes up your current reality. And it is from that standpoint that you're trying to become the person from a different reality. But you see, how can you become the person of your ideal reality if you're still clinging on to the person of your current reality? We think that, transforming yourself or becoming, attaining whatever X goal you have in life, we think of it as, very effortful, very grindy, very unpleasant, right? And we think of the relief as the point where we achieve it. But that's the thing too. When we achieve it, it's not even so much joy and happiness, but rather it's a sense of relief. And in that relief, you realize that you were running towards something out of fear the whole time, not out of creativity, not out of inspiration, not out of joy and fulfillment. You were running towards that goal from a state of fear. And as long as you are identified with that state of fear, it's going to control your life. Then you're just going to run on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And what will be controlling you to chase those things? Fear. Because you're still clinging on to the person who needs more in order to feel like he's more. So this goes all the way back to the saying, nothing is enough. So when you feel like nothing is enough, in the sense that you're in this anxiety of constantly needing to get more, nothing is enough, I need more. So you see, it's a never-ending cycle because you're identified with the person who doesn't have enough. So no matter if you make it from a poor slum, you're from the slums, and then you make it as a millionaire, but if you're still, if the attitude, the fundamental attitude of your life is nothing is enough, I need more, then you're still poor. It doesn't matter how much money you have. And so at the end of the day, all life is, it's a game of perception. Because you can interpret the same thing in such different ways, it's astonishing. You can interpret it in any single way you want. So it's up to you to decide, how do you want to look at the world, right? You see, we have all these people out here, oh, boo-hoo, I'm the victim, oh, boo-hoo, life sucks, ah, blah, blah, blah. It's so unfair, blah, 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 blah. But don't you see? You create what you believe. This is what they mean. This is what law of attraction means. That's literally all it means, right? People think law of attraction is something like woo-woo. It's like, oh, just think about what you want and then it'll manifest through the will of God. But all it is a play on perception, because you will perceive into your reality whatever you believe it to be. And so why are you still holding on to things that don't serve you? Right? In so many ways, we're in love with our pain because we feel like it's justified. Because at the end of the day, most of us don't like ourselves very much. So it's almost like we think we deserve the pain. But then, because we also believe that we're not responsible for the pain and that it's created, somebody else did this to me. We think we take the responsibility out of ourselves and we project it onto everything else. And that way we don't have to feel even worse about who we are because we already hate ourselves enough already, right? You see this in the culture, bro. Oh my God. In the political sphere right now, like, fuck. It's just everybody's just projecting their own self-hatred outwards and then trying to find that scapegoat so that they don't have to take responsibility for the ugliness in their own hearts. Because they can just point fingers at somebody else. The mistake is thinking that you can change other people by imposing your beliefs on them. But look where that's gotten us, dude. Like, fuck. We have SJWs, we have flat earthers, we have conservatives, we have neo-Nazis, right? So it's like, how can you have this amount of diversity in beliefs? Or rather, why is there so much conflict and so much radicalism along the whole spectrum? Because everyone's trying to impose their beliefs onto each other. But don't you see, the harder you push, the harder it pushes back, man. Like, just stop. Right? So it goes back to, are you able to meditate on a thought, a belief, or I guess beliefs included. Are you able to meditate on a thought or an idea without having to judge it or condemn it, right? Your mind is an empty space. It's just like the sky. The sky doesn't say to that cloud, "Oh fuck, you're ugly as fuck. Get the fuck out of my head." And then say to the other one, "Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Let me take you home." But we do that, man. The thought clouds that we see in the sky of our minds, we take to be as absolutely real. And so we think, "Oh, no, 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 I must vacuum you up. You mustn't exist." And then we see a beautiful one. It's like, oh, we gotta, I don't know. Fuck, what would you do? Develop some cloud fattening technology to make it exist forever. I'm just going off now. But the whole premise is exactly that. Being able to meditate on something, to keep your mind like an empty sky. And that in that way you can decide that you no longer are identified and you no longer want to be the person who is always so negative and who hates himself, or who hates a specific aspect about himself, or hates a specific aspect about others, because at the end of the day, all it reflects is an attachment of your mind to a cloud, and you either trying to, whip it away, or trying to, oh, no, don't leave me, cloud, no, right? But you have to see it's all an illusion. But you can still pick with intentionality the kind of beliefs you want to have in that way. The only way to become who you want to be is to change who you are now. And that's what we're all trying to do. But I've been trying to say, we've been doing it the wrong way. We think that other person we're trying to become is somewhere in the future. And I'm repeating this, but so we chase the future from as the person we are now. But when we get to the future, then we're just the same person we are now, except with a little bit more money, a new relationship, blah, 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 right? But we're still identified with that old person. And so the whole trick of it all is that the only way you can change yourself truly, to truly transform yourself into the whatever feelings you want to feel, is to stop separating those feelings into the future from yourself in the present, and to merge that ideal life that you want into the present. The ideal life can only happen in the present moment. As long as you think your ideal, some ideal, is in the future, you're never going to get there. You can only have it if you believe it, that you are it now, in this moment. And that's where the effortlessness of it comes in. Because if you are the person who is successful, who is happy, who is rich, who is smart, who is creative, then does a person who is all of these things need to try to be all of these things? It just comes naturally to him. And so in that way, it's not effortful. And so that is our whole mistake with the way we chase goals. It's not about chasing the goal so much per se, but it's about changing your identity. And I think this is something that more of us need to realize if we really do want to make a change that's lasting and that brings us an actual sense of fulfillment, is to realize that. Is to start believing that our ideal version can only become manifest if we believe that it exists right in this moment. And I think the hardest part is to be able to see through external circumstances as nothing but manifestations of what's inside. Stop trying to go about becoming the ideal person through the efforts of the person you are now. Because who are you trying to fool? At the end of the day, it's only fooling yourself in order to make your ego feel better that you're trying. But the person who doesn't need to try is the person that already feels he is that way. And if he feels that he is the ideal he already wants to be, he will naturally walk into it without a self-conscious effort. And things will manifest in his world that reflect his identity. Right? Things always manifest in a way that reflects your identity and how you identify with yourself, your beliefs, and the world. So I'll end off with that. If you enjoy these sort of discussions, drop a like, hit the subscribe. I would appreciate it. And until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.